Listen to me, ladies. And fellas, you can listen too, but this one right here is mostly for the ladies. See, when you finally stop chasing, when you stop calling, texting, begging, explaining, proving your worth, that man starts to lose his mind because now you're not feeding his ego anymore. You're not pouring energy into someone who gave you crumbs. You're detached emotionally, mentally, spiritually, and that's when the tables turn. When you fully detach, something shifts. It's not anger, it's not revenge, it's peace. You stop caring about what he's doing, who he's talking to, or whether he's thinking about you. You start thinking about you. You start remembering who you were before you started bending over backward for someone who didn't know your value. And the funny thing is, that's when he starts to notice. That's when the calls come in, the texts pop up, the I miss you messages start rolling through. Because a man can feel when his power over you is gone. See, when you're attached, he's comfortable. He knows you're going to be there no matter what. He knows he can go quiet for 2 days and you'll still answer. He knows he can do the bare minimum and still get your maximum. But the moment you stop reacting, the moment you stop explaining yourself, the moment your silence gets louder than your words, that's when he panics. Because now he's dealing with a woman who's not emotionally accessible anymore. Let me tell you something. Detachment is power. It's not about pretending. It's about genuinely being done. You don't slam the door. You just stop waiting by it. You don't argue anymore. You just stop showing up to the same fight. You stop trying to make him see your worth and start living like you already know it. And that confidence, that peace is magnetic because when a woman moves on with grace and quiet strength, it shakes a man's spirit in ways words never could. So when you fully detach, don't do it to get a reaction. Do it to get your peace back. Do it to remind yourself that your energy is precious, that your love is valuable, and that the person who truly deserves it will never make you question it. When you stop chasing, you start attracting. When you stop proving, you start glowing. And when you fully detach, that's when he finally realizes what he lost. Detachment is not about coldness or revenge. It's about taking your power back. When you stop seeking validation from someone who doesn't value your energy, you shift the entire dynamic. People can sense when your energy changes. They can feel when you're no longer emotionally tied to their actions or their approval. That's the moment power moves from their hands back into yours. It's not loud, it's not dramatic, but it's undeniable. The truth is, as long as you keep needing their validation, you give them control over how you feel. Every text, every call, every small gesture determines your mood. But when you finally step away from that need, when you realize your worth doesn't depend on their attention, that's when you find peace. Detachment teaches you to stop depending on anyone else to tell you who you are. It's about grounding yourself in your own identity, reminding yourself that your value existed before that person showed up and will remain long after they're gone. When you fully detach, you stop trying to convince, to fix, or to prove. You realize that your energy is better spent on growth, not validation. This shift doesn't just change relationships, it changes your entire life. Because now your peace becomes your priority. You stop explaining yourself to people who are committed to misunderstanding you. You stop trying to get closure from people who thrive on keeping you confused. Detachment is clarity. It's understanding that not every connection deserves your time and not every relationship deserves your effort. It's about being okay with walking away, not out of bitterness, but out of understanding that your sanity matters more than your need to be right. This mindset is powerful because it creates emotional freedom. You begin to move differently. You don't chase closure, you create it. You don't seek validation, you embody it. You no longer let other people's opinions shape your self-worth. That's when your confidence starts to grow quietly and your energy becomes peaceful yet strong. You attract better situations, better people, and better outcomes because your focus is no longer on what you lost, but on what you're becoming. Detachment isn't about cutting people off emotionally. It's about no longer letting them control how you feel. It's about owning your peace so deeply that no one's behavior can disturb your spirit again. Silence has a power that words can't match. When you stop explaining yourself to people who already understand but choose not to care, your silence becomes the loudest message you can send. It's not about ignoring someone to play games. It's about realizing that your peace is worth more than any argument. Silence forces people to confront their actions without you needing to say a thing. When someone is used to you reacting, apologizing, or trying to fix things, your silence becomes unsettling to them. It creates a space where they have to hear the echo of their own behavior. They start to question what went wrong, why you're no longer available, why your energy has changed. That's the kind of message words can't deliver. You see, silence isn't weakness, it's emotional discipline. It takes strength to hold your tongue when you want to defend yourself, when you want to be understood, when you want closure. But every time you choose silence, you're choosing yourself. You're saying, I'm not going to waste my energy trying to convince someone of my worth. Silence is your boundary. It's how you reclaim your power without raising your voice. People often confuse noise with strength, but real strength doesn't need to announce itself. It's calm, steady, and unmoved by chaos. When you stop speaking on things that don't deserve your attention, you start creating room for peace to grow inside you. There's also a spiritual peace that comes with silence. It allows you to reflect instead of react. It gives you clarity to see situations for what they really are, not for what you wish they were. In silence, you find wisdom. You start to realize that not everyone deserves access to your emotions, and not every situation deserves your explanation. The more you stay quiet, the more you start to see who genuinely respects you without needing to be reminded. People who truly care about you will listen to your silence and understand it. Those who don't will be frustrated by it because they no longer have the control your reactions used to give them. That's why silence is powerful. It protects your energy. It demands respect, and it creates space for real understanding without ever saying a single word. When you stop chasing, everything changes. The energy shifts instantly because chasing tells the other person that they are in control, that your happiness depends on their attention. But when you stop chasing, you take that control back. You start operating from a place of confidence instead of desperation. It's not that you don't care anymore. It's that you finally realized your worth isn't tied to who stays or who goes. When you stop chasing, you create space for them to actually show up if they want to. And if they don't, you're fine with that too, because you're no longer begging for love that should flow naturally. People can feel that energy, and it's magnetic. When you no longer seek validation, they start seeking your presence. When you no longer demand attention, they start offering it freely, you see. Chasing makes someone comfortable. It tells them you'll always be there, no matter how little they give in return. It removes the mystery, the balance, the respect. But the moment you stop running after them, that comfort turns into discomfort. They start wondering what changed, what you're thinking, and if you've finally moved on. That uncertainty makes them restless, because suddenly they realize they could actually lose you. It's human nature to want what seems unavailable, and when you pull back your energy, they start seeing what they took for granted. It's not manipulation, it's balance. Relationships should be mutual, effort for effort, energy for energy. When you stop chasing, you give the other person the opportunity to meet you halfway instead of always walking the full distance alone. The most powerful thing you can do is stop overextending yourself for people who meet you with half effort. When you stop chasing, you stop bleeding energy into dead spaces. You start attracting peace, clarity, and genuine connection. It's in that stillness that people begin to see your value clearly. You become the calm they can't find anywhere else. And even if they don't come back, you've already won, because you've learned that you don't have to chase love when you are loved. You stop waiting for someone to realize your worth and start living like you already know it. That's when real attraction begins, not from pursuit, but from peace. Emotional distance has a way of revealing what words and promises can't. When you pull back, when you stop pouring all your energy into someone who takes it for granted, you begin to see who they really are. People reveal their true intentions when they no longer benefit from your attention. As long as you're giving, showing up, and making effort, it's easy for someone to pretend. But when you step back, when you stop doing all the emotional labor, their mask starts to slip. You start to notice who reaches out and who disappears, who values your presence and who only valued your convenience. Emotional distance isn't about punishment, it's about clarity. It gives you the perspective you can't have when you're too close, too invested, too attached. When you create space, you allow truth to surface. If someone truly cares, they'll close that distance. They'll meet you halfway. They'll notice your absence and want to fix what's broken. But if they don't, if they fade away when you pull back, that's your answer. You don't have to chase, argue, or beg for what's real. Emotional distance is the test that reveals loyalty, consistency, and genuine care. It's easy to act like you care when someone is constantly available, but when they stop, when the energy stops flowing, that's when you see the difference between love and habit. Some people don't miss you, they miss the comfort you gave them. Emotional distance helps you see who was there for you and who was just there for the benefit of being around you. It also gives you time to reconnect with yourself. Sometimes you're so wrapped up in trying to maintain a connection that you forget to maintain yourself. Emotional distance allows healing. It helps you see what you were giving away too freely. and what you were neglecting within yourself. It reminds you that your energy is sacred and not everyone deserves access to it. When you pull back, you start operating from self-respect instead of fear of loss. You stop over-explaining, over-giving, over-loving. You begin to observe rather than react. You start to see who's willing to make effort when it's no longer easy. And that's the truth. Emotional distance always exposes. Who's there for the connection and who's there for the comfort. Detachment isn't about playing games or acting cold. It's about choosing self-respect over chaos. It's about finally realizing that peace is more valuable than attention. When you stop reacting, when you stop explaining yourself to people who never really listen, you start protecting your spirit. Detachment is quiet strength. It's the moment you decide to stop participating in cycles that drain you. You no longer try to control how someone sees you or force them to appreciate what they don't understand. You simply stop allowing access to your emotions for those who haven't earned it. That's not pride, that's boundaries. When you detach, you don't stop caring, you stop carrying everything that's not yours to hold. It's easy to confuse detachment with indifference, but there's a big difference. Indifference is about not feeling. Detachment is about feeling everything and still choosing peace. You can love someone deeply and still detach from their chaos. You can wish them well and still walk away. That's emotional maturity. You start realizing that your job isn't to fix, convince, or beg anyone to see your worth. Your job is to honor yourself enough to leave situations that no longer serve your growth. Detachment gives you your power back. It allows you to respond instead of react. It keeps you grounded when everything around you is trying to pull you into drama. It's not weakness, it's wisdom. You've learned that not everything deserves your reaction and not everyone deserves your energy. Detachment also opens the door to self-discovery. When you stop chasing validation, you start hearing your own voice again. You start remembering what makes you happy outside of anyone else's approval. You begin to fill your own cup instead of waiting for someone else to pour into it. And that's when life starts to change. You attract people who value your calm energy instead of taking advantage of it. You attract situations that align with your peace instead of disturbing it. Detachment teaches you that love doesn't mean attachment. It means freedom. It means caring from a distance, understanding without controlling, and choosing your peace over your pain. It's the moment you stop trying to prove your worth and start living like you already know it. When you start valuing your energy, everything around you begins to shift. You stop settling for conversations that drain you and relationships that leave you empty. You realize that your energy is your currency. It's what fuels your dreams, your peace, your purpose. When you value it, you stop giving it to people who only take and never pour back. You become intentional about where you invest your time and emotions. You start recognizing that not everyone deserves a seat at your table, especially if they don't bring respect, effort, or honesty. Valuing your energy is about knowing that peace is more expensive than attention. It's about understanding that your presence is a privilege, not something to be taken for granted. When you begin to honor your energy, you also start to notice who truly aligns with you. People who genuinely care will never drain your spirit. They will add to your life, not subtract from it. You stop being attracted to chaos and start craving calm. You stop confusing intensity with connection. When you value your energy, you stop trying to force things to work that clearly don't fit. You begin to let go with grace instead of with resentment, because now you're operating from strength, not from fear. You know that peace is worth more than staying where you're not valued. Protecting your energy means saying no more often, walking away sooner, and choosing yourself unapologetically. This mindset brings freedom. You no longer chase closure from others because you've learned how to create it for yourself. You stop explaining your worth to people who never deserved a front row seat to your life in the first place. You move differently, calmer, wiser, more grounded. When you value your energy, you attract people who match it. You attract love that feels safe, friendships that feel mutual, and opportunities that feel aligned. The right energy finds you when you stop wasting it on the wrong things. And once you experience peace, you'll protect it fiercely. You'll start realizing that being selective with your energy isn't selfish, it's self-respect. It's knowing that what you allow is what will continue, and your energy deserves to flow where it's appreciated, not where it's drained.